You know, one of my personal goals is to provide RVers like you with as much info as possible about buying an RV. No matter what size, style, or price point that you're looking at, the most important factor is how well is it built? RV construction affects safety, lifespan, weight, and towing performance, temperature control, overall durability. Just think about it, construction is where it all starts. But the best construction isn't actually just a single method, and paying more isn't always a guaranteed solution. In this guide, I'm going to give you 4 questions to determine how well an RV's build fits your needs. If it passes, you're on the right track. If it struggles, it's going to be worth asking more questions. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to this channel for reviews, buying guides, and a ton more resources. All right, now come on, it's time for us to get started. Are you ready? Because that's going to be our first question. Is it ready? So the first question you're going to have to ask, is that RV ready? And I'm talking fit, finish, and presentation, as well as overall build quality here. And look, here's the deal. After Winnebago first adapted RVs to the assembly line back in 1967, a lot of manufacturers followed suit. And that ain't all bad. Part of keeping RV costs down are efficient production lines. But these plants are building a lot of RVs back to back, so mistakes do happen. And while almost all RVs go through some form of inspection, at the end of the day, you're the sole judge who determines if an RV is ready or not. Step inside, walk the floors, flip the flaps, put it through its paces. You won't notice enough just by walking through and looking around. You have to touch, you have to check, you have to pull, you have to work everything. Whether it's a luxury fifth wheel or a bargain deal stick and tin RV, your observations, they matter. Here's how to read that stuff quickly. Let's go through some steps and let me show you. First up, you're gonna see it as soon as you walk in, the doors. Do they close? And more importantly, are they secure when they close? Does it latch? One way to check is to make sure the RV is level, because if it's off kilter, so is the door. It won't really fit, but that'll also give you a good indication of how it works when it's not. So check this door, make sure it closes, make sure the latch works, make sure everything is smooth and going there. And more importantly, I got a good seal, and boom. Now let's do the same thing for the windows. Now, when it comes to the windows, same thing as the doors. Check everything out. Like, look, for example, this one right here. What's going on here? Ask your specialist. Don't be afraid to open these things up, see how they glide, make sure they lock in place. Because if, just like with the doors, if this isn't working properly, it could be an indicator that you don't have a good square cut opening for these windows. More importantly, a bad seal. So check them all out, including the shades in between. How are they going? What does my suspension look like? Is it gonna fall? Does it go where I want it? These RVs are meant to be used. So when you're walking through the one that you feel is it, walk through and look for things. And definitely walk the floors. Are they firm? Do you feel spongy spots near the ducts or where ducts should be? Also, look at the floor to the slide. Is it flush? Am I gonna have issues where the vinyl's coming up? You know what? Take your shoe off and literally do foot feels. How's it gonna feel when you're walking around in your RV? More importantly, is it ready for you? Next up, scan the fasteners and the trim. You want to look for anything that looks out of place. Maybe it's some exposed staples. Maybe you got screws missing. Maybe there's some trim actually hanging down. That could be a sign of something potentially worse. Like this case, we don't even have a shade over here. And look at what the doors are doing. Now, granted, some of that could be fixed by just tightening, but just look, check everything, really put it through the steps to make sure it's nothing bigger. Now, with the fasteners and trim, you also got to check the cabinet doors and drawers. Go ahead and put them through the test. Make sure as you open and close that they're actually opening, closing, and there's not bigger issues that could be there. Next up, touch the walls. On the inside of the RV, go ahead and just put your hand everywhere. Look for any bubbles, look for any big waves, soft spots, something that's gonna give. Could be a sign of potential water damage, but really on the inside, feel, push, and look. On the outside, if it's aluminum sided, do a sight line. Look from the top down, and same thing. Gently push, but look for any big bubbles, waves, or damaged panels. If it's fiberglass, same thing. Look from the top down. You're looking for any delamination, some bubbles, and with the fiberglass exteriors, you also want to do the tap test. What you're looking for is a crisp knocking sound. Go ahead and go all the way down the RV. If you hear something that's deeper and hollow, that could be bad lamination. That could also be a potential issue on the interior, but make sure to do that tap test on the fiberglass. The best part about this is none of these checks require a technician's background or any type of special training. They're simply just ways to answer that first really big question when looking at the RV. Does it feel ready? You're checking the floors, you're checking the walls, the cabinet alignment, the seals, the slides, the doors, the windows. That's the whole, can I trust the craftsmanship layer? That's the first one. Next up, is it gonna be ready to work? Now, when I'm filming RV reviews, I actually got this sweet little portable power station right here. So I can plug this in, walk into pretty much any RV and fire up the lights, appliances, fans, everything. But when you're looking at RVs on a dealer lot, you probably don't have this with you, so you might not have that luxury. But I gotta tell you, this step is crucial. Is it ready to work? Actually means, do all of the systems actually function the way that they're supposed to? And I'm talking about the AC, furnace, water pump, slides, stabilizers, outlets, etc., the whole thing. So how do you check things without power? Well, two things. Number one, most dealerships will happily hook an RV up to shore power, bring you something like this, or even grab something like this right here, jump box, if you ask them. And please make sure to ask them because of how important it is. Number two, or conversely, you may get a chance to explore the RV with full power, water, the whole nine when completing your final inspection before signing paperwork. And I got to time out you right there because that's important. Take all the time you need. You should have a technician or an advisor by your side for questions during this stage. If someone doesn't volunteer, raise your hand or ask somebody for help. But once you got power, everything's rocking and rolling, here's what you got to check. First up is going to be lights. When you walk into the coach, make sure you cut every light on if it's got the switch or the push button. Also, look around the edges. Is it loose? Is there any sloppy cutouts? Do they dim? Do they flicker? What if I cut the microwave on or if I run the HVAC? Do the lights go down? If you see any of that, especially the cutouts around the edges, that can mean it was rushed electrical work and you want to start asking questions. Next up are going to be the slides. You want to run every slide out yourself. What you want to do is you want to look for any uneven movement, any jarring, any shaking, because that's when you need to start asking questions. And what am I looking at? Let me show you on the outside. This is what I'm talking about with having a partner join you, because as you can see on the outside, look at how close I am on this side of the slide wall. But then when we come down to this side, big difference. That's when you want to start asking questions about, hey, what's going on here? On the outside, check things like the awning and especially the jacks. If you have the powered stabilizer jacks like this, you want to make sure they go down easily. There's no grinding. There's no stopping. And if there's a hydraulic leveling system or stabilization system, you want to make sure it goes down smoothly and with confidence. It shouldn't scream or hesitate on any one of these systems. So be sure to check every jack on that coach. Next up is going to be the HVAC. Yes, you want to check it. So that RV that you're in may need propane. But what you want to do is you want to cut on the AC over at the HVAC controls. And what you want to do is you want to listen to make sure that the fan isn't the only thing that comes on. You also hear the compressor come on as well. And while it's doing that, also make sure that your refrigerator is also on. I'm going to get back to that. But you want to give it a chance to draw some cool air while you check other things on your list. So as you're walking around, leave this running. And same thing for the heat as well. And yes, you want to check the water as well. So ask them if they can put water in the coach for you to check out. First, you want to cut on the water pump. Now, if you have your water heater on the command panel, cut that on as well. If not, you'll probably find the tankless water heater in here. Give it a minute. You should hear the pump prime on you. Then it's going to quiet down. Rapid pulsing, or if you hear continuous running, that can actually indicate that there's a leak. If water is available, after you do all of that, now you want to start checking things like the faucet, the shower sprayer, the toilet, the outdoor shower, the outdoor kitchen if you have one. And you're going to wait a little bit to test the hot water if you do not have the tankless water heater. These will only take about 10 to 15 seconds to get hot, but once you think it's ready, cut everything on and run it. Make sure I'm getting good water pressure as well. So be sure to check every faucet, every place where water can be. Now this next step, you may have to have a lighter or a match with you, but you want to check your appliances. Chris, what are you talking about? Plain and simple. You wanna make sure they work before you actually try to cook on it, right? Cut this on, make sure you get flame. Same thing for the microwave. Open it up, cut it on. I'm gonna start. Sounds like it's working. Same thing with the fridge, fireplace, anything that's gonna be an appliance, the fans, the ceiling fans, the vent fans for inside the bathroom, check and make sure everything works and works properly. Next thing you wanna test, the outlets. A great way to do it, get your brick and your phone and then just plug it into each outlet. Make sure you're getting juice. If it's GFCI, make sure it's not tripped, but just walk around, test every outlet as you're walking through the RV and talking to the sales rep to make sure that it's working, including the little mini chargers sometimes located in the seats. Now, there are also some red flags to watch out for on top of this list that I just gave you. For example, the AC fan works, but the compressor never kicks on. The furnace fan runs, but never ignites. Slides start and stop repeatedly or lean to one side. The water pump runs constantly. You don't want that. And lights flicker as you turn more things on. When it comes to your jacks, you want to make sure they drop evenly and they retract evenly. Those are early signs of problems. Now, not always deal breakers for these signs, but it's definitely worth digging into, especially when this is an RV that you're really excited about having. When everything powers on, moves smoothly, and behaves the way it should, you can check box number 2 as yes, it works. Which actually brings us to the third question. We talked about, is it ready to work? But is it ready to be worked on? Even the best RVs are going to need some maintenance at some point. And there are a lot that are a lot easier to service than others. Is it ready to be worked on? How easy an RV is to be worked on will impact everything from your confidence in performing a DIY repair versus having to take it to a shop. How long diagnostics and repairs might take if you do bring it in, and even the likelihood of experiencing future issues once it's fixed. We're talking about the longevity of your RV here. That's really what I'm getting at. But the good news is there are a couple of things that you can check right on the lot to get a pretty good sense of how serviceable an RV is going to be. First and foremost, you gotta find those panels. Well, let's find them. You should see something like this. Sometimes it's in the kitchen or living area, sometimes it's under your bed, but this is where you're gonna find all of your breakers as well as your fuses. Quick little tip on this too, if it's powered in and you see any red lights through this little window right here, that means one of the fuses is bad. And if something isn't working, just check and make sure that the breaker is actually on. The other things you wanna be sure you can access or at least check are gonna be the water pump, water heater bypass, your converter, back of the furnace and refrigerator, water lines, and plumbing runs. You should be able to reach these things without taking half of the RV apart. Some RVs actually make this easy with things like simple wall panels or things like lift-up hatches. Other manufacturers bury components behind glued panels or inside cabinetry where you might need a screwdriver. If everything important is hard to reach, repairs are going to be harder, slower, and more expensive. Next up, let's take a look at wiring. For the wiring, you want to take a look at places that might be a little hard to get to. Behind cabinets, under drawers, under the sinks, under the bathroom sinks, maybe even sometimes under the beds. But pass-through storage is also a great place to look for it. But really, right here is what you're looking for when you're looking for the wirings. You want to make sure that you have clean routing. Look for anything like sharp edges. Are there any corners where these wires could get hung up on? Are they color-coded? Are they set up to where if we are going to be moving around, nothing's going to hit it, nothing's going to jar it? More importantly, if you do need to switch something out, is it easy access to them to be able to do that? Having color-coded wiring is great, but if they're labeled, that's even better. You want to make sure you can find some labels. You also want to make sure that nothing is dangling loose or could get caught. For example, I'm not crazy about that wire over there just kind of hanging out of nowhere. Same thing with these down here underneath my battery box. This could pose an issue. So is this something I could easily move myself? Hopefully I can. If not, when I'm walking through, I'm going to talk to my specialist about, hey, can you guys do something about that? Now, with the wiring, if it's sloppily laid out in places that you can see, chances are it's going to be sloppily laid out in places that you can. Same thing for your plumbing. You want to check and make sure, can I access things under the sink? You want to look at the PEX piping that's here. Are they hot? Are they cold? Are they color-coded? I want to make sure that they're supported. If not, they're sturdy. There's no kinks, there's no sharp turns in here, or no lines rubbing, no metal doing it. And more importantly, if they are located in connection points, that those connection points are sealed. Next up is going to be the underbelly. Did I mention, by the way, you probably don't want to wear your Sunday best? If you can safely get under the RV, please do so, because an enclosed underbelly is great, but you do want to make sure of a couple of things. Number one, the enclosed underbelly is going to help protect all of those sensitive and extremely important systems underneath the coach. Your plumbing, your wiring, your tanks, so forth and so on. Plus, it's going to help with the critters, temperature control, moisture, the whole nine. But it's one of those things where if you do have to do some work on it, is it like this one that we have here, the accessibelly, where there's multiple panels that you can take off individually without unrolling the whole underbelly off. This will allow me to get to certain sections of the plumbing, certain tanks, whatever, and techs love these because of how easy it is. Servicing these while you're on the road is a little bit easier too, because it's just one panel versus the whole thing. But that's one of the things, if you can get under the RV and check, and while you're down here, look for the frame as well to see if there's any rust, any bends, or any things that you might see that stand out. Now, slide mechanisms can be a culprit for future trouble. If you can see the slide hardware, like we have right down here, or at least the motors, that's great. What you're checking for is accessible parts, not a slide that's boxed in so tightly that a tech has to dismantle cabinetry just to reach the motor. Schwinn-Tech, rack and pinion like we have right here, cable driven like we have behind us, and hydraulic can work great when they're installed with serviceability in mind. Easier to service RVs, spend less time in the shop, cost less to repair, and leave fewer opportunities for mistakes during maintenance. And that all adds up to an RV that simply lasts longer. Serviceability is a core part of construction. Even if most buyers never think to look for it, you gotta at least check it. Now you're ready for the last question, and it's probably the most important, and that is it ready for you? This is about whether the way an RV is built actually fits the way that you camp. So it may be perfectly solid, fully functional, and easy to service, but still not the right match for your trips, your tow vehicle, or more importantly, the adventures that you want to take. This is really where you want to zoom out, take a 30,000 foot view at the bigger picture of things when we're talking about, is it ready for you? First up, you gotta start with the most important, towability. Weight and towing matter way more than almost anything else. So before you fall in love with this RV, this floor plan, you think, oh, this is perfect, you wanna make sure that your tow vehicle can handle it. And not just the dry weight that you see on the sticker right here, but the real camping weight once you factor in things like water, cargo, propane, batteries, and of course, all your gear. That means knowing your vehicle's actual towing capacity, your payload rating, and how much tongue weight it can safely support. All of those matter. A beautifully built RV that pushes your truck past its limits, that's gonna be a headache just waiting to happen. I want you to think about where you're gonna camp and what type of climate you're gonna face. So if you travel in cooler temperatures or stretch into the shoulder seasons, things like heated tanks, enclosed underbelly, the heating pads, dual pane windows, they suddenly matter a lot more. And if your trips are mostly summer weekends, those construction choices, well, they might not be as important to you. Now, if you love to dry camp or you want to stay at parks without full hookups, bigger tanks mean longer stays and fewer interruptions. If you mostly stay at full hookup campsites, maybe the nice campgrounds, how the RV manages tanks still is going to affect that convenience. And please, whatever you do, don't overlook how construction shapes storage and layout. What I mean by that is things like pass-through storage, overhead cabinets, bed platforms, slide support systems. What you want to do is ask yourself whether that build supports the way you pack, store, and more importantly, move throughout the space. Think about that as you're walking through it. Finally, I want you to think about the ride. Long highways, gravel roads, seasonal sites, quick trips, or are you gonna be doing some full-time travel? The suspension on that RV matters just as much as the walls or the frame. Single axle versus double axle, torsion versus leaf spring, upgraded equalizer, shocks, and tire size all influence how an RV is gonna behave on the road and how well it tolerates rougher surfaces. So be sure to pay attention to where you're gonna be going, how's that running gear looking? At the end of the day, different construction methods and different suspension setups shine in different worlds. Knowing what you're gonna ask of your RV, that's really gonna help you decide what build is meant for that kind of use. I know it's a lot to think about when you're thinking about your RV, but it's your investment. And more than anything, I want you to know I'm thinking about you, and these are just some of the things I hope you look for when you're looking for your RV. But please, even though it is serious, try to have fun with it. And if you have any questions, you need any information, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Head on into your local Camping World. And if you did find this helpful, like, subscribe, and notify. I'm Chris Young for Camping World. I look forward to seeing you on the next buying guide. Hope you enjoyed this one. And more importantly, hey, good luck. Happy camping.